2022. Is that your name at the bottom? Did you sign that document?
Yes, sir.
And have you read that document? Are all of the things that you wrote in there accurate and true?
Yes, sir.
Mr. DeVille, do you have an attorney or can you afford to hire a lawyer?
I had an attorney, Aggravated.
You had an attorney what? I'm sorry?
His name was Aggravated.
Okay. And have you not hired another lawyer? Do you want to proceed today without a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
So you're ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to read the allegations against you. It is alleged that you have violated rule number 4 on or about March the 30th of 2022. You engaged in criminal contact that led to your arrest by the Fenton Police Department for the offenses of aggravated assault with a firearm and simple battery. On 7/18 of 2022, you were convicted of the offense of aggravated assault, misdemeanor, and simple battery, misdemeanor. Mr. DeVille, how do you plead to those allegations?
Not guilty.
Mr. DeVille, your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. He will begin our interview process. So would you please answer any questions he might have, Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Bill, how long have you been in jail on these charges?
On each charge, I've been in here going on 7 months.
Okay. All right, and I'm not gonna get into this whole arrest report, but I need to know the truth of what happened.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Rowe has been several statements. You have given several statements. And the only thing that seems to be the same in all the statements is that you were fighting with your son.
Yes, sir.
So tell me exactly what happened.
See, I was at work at the time, and my girlfriend called me, told he ain't want to do right, talking about you ain't my mama or my daddy, so you can't tell me nothing. So I called home, asked him what was going on. He was talking about he wanted to go to a party. I was, what kind of party? He said a bonfire. I was, if your room clean, you picked up everything that she asked you to do, you can go. And at that time, you know, I was at work. I got a phone call saying he still didn't want to do nothing. So he was over across the yard to the friend house playing basketball. I called him. Next thing you know, he had a toy gun, spray painted on our front porch, black. So a girl called and took a picture of him while he was spray painting the gun on the front porch. And I asked him, what you doing? He was nothing. He said, I'm waiting on you to come home from work, where I can go to this bonfire. I was, not if your room not clean, you ain't gonna go nowhere. So at that time, you know, he got mad. He don't stay with me. He stayed with his cousin and her old man, her husband. So he called them to come get him. And at that time, I didn't know nothing about it till my girl called me talking about, hey, he called his cousin to come get him to go home. So I said, all right, I'll just meet y'all wherever he's gonna drop him off at. So they called talking about meet us at the dollar store. So I met him at the dollar store. Next thing you know, I asked him about the toy gun. He tried to drink it out of my hand. So I threw it in the back of my truck, tried to break it. When I threw it in the back of my truck, he grabbed me around my neck, tried to choke me, started choking me. So my girl tried to get him off me, and his cousin pushed up my girl on the ground. So at that time, he let me go. Next thing you know, his cousin husband hit me with some brass knuckles and split all my eye open. And he knocked me out. Next thing I know, I got up dazed, trying to feel my way around. And he hit me again and fractured all my jaw. So I went to the hospital. They gave, stitched me up, trying to see if my swelling was gonna go down on my temple, because my temple had swelled up when he hit me with the brass knuckles. And that was it. Then
You
the
didn't
next
go
thing you
back,
know,
get that gun out the truck and start waving it?
no, sir, I ain't never had no gun.
Okay. Well, I mean, in the second statement, Ms. Bro at first said you didn't have a gun also. Then she said you did have a gun. And it was a toy gun, which the sergeant said it was a toy gun.
Yes, sir, the toy gun that they found in the back of my truck.
Okay, so you never got the gun and started waving it out there at the dollar store?
No, sir.
Did you and your son get in a fight prior to this on, I think what the road was? But y'all had 2 fights that day, didn't you?
No, sir.
Just the one at the dollar store?
Just the one at the dollar store.
You and your son fight often?
No, sir. It was the first time I ever, had a problem with my son. I never put my hands on my son since he was born. I ain't never whipped him.
So if Ms. Bro said she took a gun away from you, she's not telling the truth?
No, I ain't never had no gun.
TB Tower Road, where's TB Tower Road?
That's the road by my house.
Okay, did you, have altercation with your son on TB Tower Road?
That's why I met him at first, but we ain't never had no altercation.
Pulled a weapon with on someone on TB Tower Road after a physical altercation with Markel, his son. Why would she make that statement?
Oh, I don't know nothing about that statement. I never knew she wrote a statement.
Gave a statement to police officers. 2 or 3 different statements.
I ain't never knew she wrote a statement. But I ain't never had no gun.
Okay, I have no further questions. Y'all have any questions?
I have a couple of questions. I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. DeVille, let me ask you a question. I
Yes,
don't
sir.
know if there's some confusion here. I keep hearing you say, I never had a gun.
Yes, sir.
I don't think you're accused of having a weapon yourself.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever pick up that toy gun that looked like a real gun? That's the issue.
Don't get me wrong. When I was at the dollar store, I had the toy gun in my hand and asked him what he was going to do with this toy gun.
Did you ever point that toy gun at anyone else suggesting it might be a real gun?
No, sir.
But you did have the toy gun at some point in your hand.
Yes, sir. I had it at the dollar store in my hand and I asked him what he was going to do with this toy gun, why he painted it black.
And I keep hearing you say, I never had a gun. Are you saying you never had a weapon other than that toy gun?
Yes, sir.
Do you work, Mr.
Yes, sir.
DeVille? Where do you work?
I work for Red Mud Construction,
And how long have you been working that job?
going on 3 years now.
Was that job waiting for you if you were to get out?
Yes, sir.
Where will you be living?
In the same residence I've been staying at in Fenton.
Mr. DeVille,
Yes, ma'am.
Your son normally live with?
His cousin and her old man.
And why is that?
His mama signed her rights over to them.
Okay, where's his mom?
Out here in Jennings.
Okay, so the cousin has legal custody of the son. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And sometimes comes to your house. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, on weekends.
Okay. Do you have any custodial right?
Ma'am,
Do you have any parental rights?
yes, ma'am. I ain't never signed my rights over.
Well, I'm not gonna get into all of that. So what do you think you need to do to have a better relationship with your son?
To get out there and provide for my son like I was. I was taking care of my son.
I'm talking about the relationship. Providing is not a relationship. What do you
Oh,
think?
I
What
never
do you-
had,
Go ahead.
I never had a problem with my son. Never.
Why do you think this situation came up then?
When he started staying with them, that's the only reason, that's the only problem I started having. When he was staying with them, because they would let him do whatever he wanted to do.
Okay, Mr. DeVille, how long has he been in their custody?
About a year now.
And where were you when they were given custody of him?
I was out. I was working at the time.
And how long have you been out of prison on parole?
Going on 2.5 years.
And where do y'all live?
Fenton,
I don't know where that is. I'm
on the
sorry.
other side. It's by Kendall, Louisiana.
Am I helping budget?
What's the big city?
Lake Charles.
Lake Charles?
Yes, sir.
How far are you from Lake Charles?
Like 20 minutes.
Okay. Do you think you could benefit from some parenting classes
Yes,
to
ma'am.
help know how to deal with teenage boy?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you be willing to drive to Lake Charles to participate in parenting classes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Now we'll hear from Ms. Melanie DeVille. Ms. DeVille?
Yes, sir.
Ms. DeVille, if you would please introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about this case.
I'm Melanie DeVille. I'm Corey's girlfriend. When he says we live closer to Fenton than Kinder, my physical address is Kinder, but we're like 4 miles from Fenton. Like 4 miles from Fenton. That's why everybody refers back here by us, it's a rural area that we live in Fenton, but it's a Kinder address. The kids go to Fenton. We're in Fenton School District. Yeah, like Corey was saying, the night all this transpired, he told him that, and his little brother, who is 2 years younger than him, was supposed to be able to go with him. That's what I told him. If he was going to go to this bonfire, his little brother had to go with him. And that's really what sparked the whole thing. He didn't want his little brother to go. I worked at the vote. This all transpired on March 26th. The altercation and everything on March 26th. Corey was arrested March 30th. I did the election. I came home. I went to my room to change. It was like around 9:30. And that's when he started getting all wanting to know why his daddy said that he could go and if his room and everything was clean. And like I told him, I said, that's what your daddy said. Well, and I told him, I said, your little brother needs to go with you. Oh, I don't want my little brother to go with me. Well, then he started arguing with me here about going to the party. His brother was in here. My daughter, who was at the time was in her room. She's about the same age as Markel, and started arguing. She had to come out her room, and she told him that he better not put his hand on me. And his little brother kept trying to get him to go outside to cool off because he was that angry. He was making comments like he was going to kill himself and everything. And he took off walking. Like I said, we live on a rural dirt road that ends up on TV Tower Road. I live on Reed Road. He was walking. The kids ended up walking with him. Then it got to a point he didn't want them to walk with him. And he was ignoring me. So I followed him because I'm not going to let a 16-year-old go walking down the road. Well, in the meantime, that's when he called his cousin to come pick him up from Gaydon. And that's when I called his daddy to let him know that he called his cousin. They coming to pick him up. We walked almost probably 2 miles, but I called Corey's brother and his girlfriend and Corey's mama to come help me with him because he would ignore me. He didn't even want to talk to me. And I had the other 2 kids in there with me. We walked on the road and everything. So whenever we met up on the road, that's when we were all sitting there trying to get him in a vehicle. And he didn't want to get in anybody's vehicle. Finally, he got in my vehicle after arguing and everything. We went to the dollar store, and when Corey got out, it was only God's will that Corey was released when he did, because his mama and her boyfriend, after 12 years, the boyfriend had left her. And she kind of like started spiraling. So the kids came in.
Bill, you need to kind of get to your point
Okay.
and wrap this up. Tell us what happened with the gun, etc. Quickly.
So the kids, they never had, their mama wasn't there, with them. She's pretty much in the last 2 years been only talked to them 2 times. So they're having issues with the only mom not being there, and then their dad gets out. They were both living with us at a time. Well, when he went to Gaydon, they started letting him do anything. He was drinking, smoking, vaping, whatever. But when he comes here, we have rules.
And on this particular night, ma'am, please tell us what happened. Tell us what Mr. DeVille did.
Markel kept pushing on his daddy and cussing his daddy and everything, talking about he thinks about killing himself every day. And all of a sudden, he just got really angry. Everybody was standing there and just kept on. Corey grabbed his shirt and put him on the ground, like to restrain him and for him to calm down. And finally, that's when Markel started choking Corey. Corey never hit him or anything. When Markel finally let loose of Corey, that's when his cousin's husband went and hit Corey on the side of his face from behind. And when Corey got up, he was all dazed. He was walking around and everything. But before then, when Markel was talking about killing himself, that's when Markel still had that gun. And that's when Corey grabbed that gun from him and was asking him all kind of questions about the gun. And then he threw it in the back of his truck. That's when I went and got it out the truck, because I didn't know if it was real or fake at the time that Markel had. And that's when I grabbed it and saw that it was a fake gun. But I grabbed it out the truck and went and put it in my car just to keep it away from him trying to get it or whatever.
Thank you, Mr. DeVille. Any questions?
Yeah, one question, Mr. DeVille. Has Markel been to your house since his dad's been in jail?
No, sir. I wouldn't allow him to come back here, because this is the second time that we've had issues. A year ago, when his mama shot her foot off, he went and lied and told his mom all kind of things. She was ready to come fight me. That's when she originally took the boys, because she gave temper.
I just wanted to know if right. Yeah. I just wanted to know if he's been there. Okay.
No.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeVille.
Right.
Mr. DeVille, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote?
No, sir.
We're ready to vote?
Yes, sir. Okay. Mr. DeVille, I think, you got a job, you're doing well at your job, and I don't want you to lose that job. But I agree with Ms. Jackson. I think, you and your son probably need to go together to parenting classes or some kind of counseling.
Yes, sir.
So today, my votes could be not to revoke, to reprimand you and add a condition to your parole that your parole officer find you some sort of classes or counseling to go to with your son.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ms. Jackson.
All right, Mr. DeVille, I agree. This is always a difficult dynamic when you're dealing with parents, not parents. And so I would suggest to Ms. Bro also that I can't order her to do anything, but to learn how to navigate a relationship as a step parent. That's always a difficult dynamic. And my hope is for you and your son and your other children to be on the same page and have a good relationship. So my vote today is do not revoke, return you to supervision with the added condition of parenting classes or counseling.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. DeVille, I agree with everything that my colleagues have said. You seem to be doing well when you get out. You've got a job, you've been working hard, and as a parent, I know it's difficult sometimes, especially in a situation where your son's living somewhere else, his mother's in jail, and there are all kinds of issues that go along. I think that all three of you, your girlfriend, and your son could benefit from some sort of counseling. But as Judge Jackson has pointed out, we can't order the other two to do anything. But we
Yes, sir.
can ask you condition that you go to parenting classes. So my vote likewise would be not to revoke. Hopefully you can return to your job and you'll be able to take some parenting classes and perhaps through those parenting classes, learn some skills to be able to convince your girlfriend and your son maybe to go to counseling that would help both of them. So you need to be real careful. You've got a cloud over your head. You're on parole. Anything like this happens again, you might not get the benefit of a group that's listening to you and wants to help you. Mess up one time, you might get a second chance. You mess up again, you might not get that second chance. So good luck to you. My
Thank you.
vote today is not to revoke you, but to add a special condition that you take parenting classes according to your parole supervisor. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, I am surprised. I literally felt that I just spent the last 23 minutes listening to I don't know, I guess a bunch of high school kids trying to describe a schoolyard argument. That was really confusing. Some people just kind of don't grow up. I had to watch it twice, and I do think I understood what happened, so I'll give the little bit of the summary, which is what I believe happened. Love to hear your comments on this. So, in a nutshell, the 16-year-old boy, his son, wanted to go to a party. His father said no, and then his girlfriend said no. Then he left the house. She followed him down the street, which is really scary to imagine that happening. I feel bad for his son. They ended up picking him up, taking him to a dollar store. I don't know why why are you going to a dollar store? And he's saying he wants to kill himself, which is really sad. This is a part that I think was really missed in this story, is that there's a 16-year-old boy that's really just going through so much, and he has a fake gun, and he's saying he wants to kill himself. And the whole thing just kind of escalated out of control, and that's what's being missed. I mean, this is, you know, it's just sad, and it breaks my heart to hear that part. And it's just like right over their head, right? Like they're just viewing him as this terrible troublemaker. Meanwhile, he's really crying out for help. Why the board let him out, and give the board a lot of props here. Now, we've seen a lot of parole revocation hearings, and typically they're not this patient, but they really wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I think why they were willing to get to the bottom of it is because he's been out, was it 2.5 years? At least 1.5, maybe 2.5 years. Seems that he's held a job. He's followed all of his parole requirements, which, you know, it's paying your fees and reporting to your parole officer and holding the job and staying out of trouble and not, you know, passing your drug tests. So he did all of those things right. And now they wanted to get down to the bottom of, why is there a fake gun in your car? Now, simply said, it could have been like, you know, you could have been concise about it and could have said his son threatened to kill himself. He took the gun, put it in his truck, and knew it was fake, but he just needed to, you know, just calm down the situation. Instead, you get lost in this whole long high school drama, and like high school style drama, and but I do believe it completely. You can't, you know, you can't make up such a dumb story. So I do believe it completely, and I do think the board made the right decision completely, entirely. And they're right. So easily he'd be back in prison. So easily they wouldn't listen to a word he was saying. They would just say, you had a fake gun in your truck. You're done. Bye. So it is once you get through all the noise and craziness of the story, the bottom line is that we're looking at someone that seems to be doing the best that he can out of jail, on parole, and nearly screwed up. He did seem eager to take the parenting classes. I don't know if it was only because he understood that he had to, or that he is actually interested in it. What was there about his ex-wife and mother shooting her foot off? God, what is going on? The poor kid. That's well, again, my takeaway is this poor 16-year-old kid. It's like, how is he gonna have a chance? These are who his role models are. But with that, I'll let you go.